Good evening, folks. My name is Ricky Tran, and I am a certified Scrum Master. I'm here today to talk to you guys about a new idea in Scrum, which would potentially replace our current day project management framework. As we see it today, the waterfall method, unfortunately, uses more time and resources as reviewing the project is done at the results-only phase, and if the project is found inappropriate, the process must go back to phase 1. Change is only welcome during the requirements phase, and there is no liberty of making changes later. The waterfall method tends to keep customers at bay until results of the project are near. The structure of this waterfall method works very well for smaller projects. For Scrum aims to save time and resources by reviewing development processes daily to gauge process, progress, or implement changes where needed. During a project, requirements evolve constantly. The Scrum process welcomes change at every stage of development. The Scrum process also includes customers and stakeholders at every stage, taking their feedback and implementing where needed. In this case, Scrum is great for bigger and more complex projects. The Scrum process includes a 5-step process. The sprint planning phase involves the entire Scrum team where they collaborate and discuss the desired high priority work for the sprint and defines the sprint goal. Sprint planning involves the entire Scrum team and should be limited to a maximum of 8 hours. During the daily Scrum, the development team meets for 15 minutes or less every day of the sprint to inspect progress towards the sprint goal. They describe for each other how their work is going, ask for help where needed, and they also consider whether they are still on track to meet the sprint goal. During a sprint review, the Scrum team invites stakeholders, senior leaders, and affected departments to discuss what was completed during the sprint. They adapt the product backlog as needed based on this feedback. The product owner then has the option to release any of the completed functionality. And during the sprint retrospective, the Scrum team discusses what went right and areas for improvement in the sprint. They may make tangible changes for how to improve their own processes, tools, and relationships. And lastly, the sprint encompasses the entire framework of Scrum. During the sprint, the Scrum team works to create an increment in which potentially releasable software is created from the product backlog. The sprint represents all the Scrum events in its entirety and are subject to a time box of 1 month or less. I'd like to introduce you to the Scrum team, which can be explained as an equilateral triangle. The 3-part team relies on commitment, openness, courage, respect, and focus to hold each other accountable for their part. The Scrum Master works to serve the team and its organization in following proper Scrum Framework. They work to remove any obstacles and distractions preventing the team from meeting their goals. They are the liaison between the Scrum team and people or teams outside of the Scrum team. The product owner is the voice of the customer and works to identify requirements and overall vision for the development team. They manage product backlog and user stories based on stakeholder and customer requirements. The development team is in charge of writing code for potentially releasable software at the end of each sprint. They are self-governing and cross-functional teams committed to planning, writing, testing, and implementing software. In summary, the Scrum Framework has gathered popularity over the years and will continue to do so because of the advantages of utilizing that format. The short sprints minimize risk and save time and resources for the company. Project visibility and collaboration includes and incorporates feedback from users and stakeholders to produce high quality and usable software at a rapid pace. Thank you.